goodness, happy Valentine's Day, you guys. Let's all gather around and make love to our OSs. Ooh. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Her. Now this movie is from 2013 and it stars Joaquin Phoenix. Now before I get into all this love on this good Valentine's Day, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things. You know, it get real petty out here in these streets when you can't even trust an OS. Like, girl, I gotta worry about you and you're not even a real person? What hope does that leave for us? Like, girl, chill, you had one job.
Go back.
You guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me. Let's get into this movie. But before we jump into the movie, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for and requested this movie. If you happen to get your whole life, and I hope you do, because it's Valentine's Day and this was a first time watch for me, and I was feeling some type of way about relationships after watching this OS make Joaquin Phoenix feel some type of way. Did y'all see it? It was real out here in these streets. Thank you so much for supporting me and supporting my content. You are appreciated. Now, getting into this movie was written and directed by Spike Jonze. This is one of the few films I've seen from him. I'm not really familiar with all of his films, but I do remember watching Adaptation, Being Joan Malkovich, and Well, the Wild Things Are. He has this certain aesthetic about his films, and you know when you go to a Spike Jonze film, you're going to get something different. No two films are the same. He has this special, unique vision. But what really kept me here was the homie Joaquin Phoenix. Anytime you get him in a film, it's a good time. I loved him since Gladiator and recent films like Joker. And my favorite, Walk the Line, where he gives me my Johnny Cash life. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. Come on now. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Come on now, Joaquin. I love all of his films. He gives you that Gary Oldman feel. He is a character actor. He completely transformed into that person. And here he put on a full-blown transformation. You barely even recognize him. Now, immediately we are introduced into Theodore. Lonely, solo, dolo Theodore. Now, he is a professional writer. He pours all of these sweet, romantic sentiments. He can put all of these things on paper, but he doesn't have anyone to call his own. He's very quiet, he's very distant, and you can see right off that he is extremely lonely. Now, right away, I was pulled in by the cinematography and the color palette of this film. We are in kind of the near future, but not so removed from now. But we're just, in the midst of having advances that we get here in this film. And the color palette is so light pastel. Everybody looks so drained and withdrawn. So when you have Joaquin reach those heights of happiness that he eventually gets to with the OS, you can really see this spark in him, because everybody, for the most part, they look alive, but they look dead. There's all this unison and dry color palette. It was really well used here. Now, unlike his current quiet-ass virtual insanity, we see lots of warmth and life when he remembers moments of his ex-wife. There's a certain light in his eyes. He looks really fulfilled, really happy, looks like an entirely different person in comparison to the Theodore that we see. Very lonely, a life full of letters, emails, video games, and phone sex. Child, when we got into that phone sex scene and him envisioning the last naked woman he saw, because he doesn't see or really interact with anything else, so that's his main vision of, if I'm gonna have sex right now, and you see him go through call to call to call, like, no, I just need a plain sweet girl who wants to have regular, demure, quiet phone sex. And it's like, oh yeah, choke me with that dead cat. It's like, what? Girl, I ain't call for this. It was just one more, notch on the belt to go, I'm just not getting what I need. I am completely not fulfilled in my life as far as a significant other. I can't even get what I want through phone sex. She wants me to choke her with a dead cat. Once we have Theodore sign up for this OS, artificial intelligence situation, there are immediate red flags for me. Shit, I won't even talk to Alexa. Samantha is very, very lifelike and seems to operate on her own accord. The sweet Scarlett Johansson is lending her voice, and she is deciding her own name. She evolves like a human being. She has great conversation. She's funny, she's helpful, she's smart, and she can act on her own accord. And she's already ahead of the game because she knows everything about him, all these wonderful traits. She is the closest that you can get to the perfect girlfriend. It's, that sense of AIs coming in and taking over, like you can so, easily be replaced by this programming. She is just like downright perfect. She only lacks a body. Like, girl, get out of here. Now, I love here that we don't immediately start off with, Theodore equals lonely equals he's in love with NOS out of desperation. We get the total opposite here. You have her saying, that she evolves on her own accord. She's kind of learning as she goes. She's, developing as any natural person would. And it's a lot for him to take in at first. He just kind of finds it amusing. Like, this is a little weird. He's not into it right away. So we really get to see the slow progression of their friendship. And in the end, we start to feel as if it's a real relationship, and we feel for Samantha and we feel for Theodore. You get really invested in their love. Now, with Theodore going through this divorce, maybe at moments engaging with friends and certain co-workers, he spends a lot of time alone in his minimalistic apartment, playing video games and just being one with himself, leading him to spend more and more time with Samantha. And it really pushes him to see her as less of an OS and as a real person. When he is in his most vulnerable spaces, he's, really self-conscious, going through his divorce, scared to date, he confides in Samantha and she does him. You both have them kind of on the same playing field of evolving. She's just evolving as an OS and learning new stuff as she goes. And you also have him evolving, trying to maintain being alone, even, getting the courage up to even go through with signing the divorce papers. He's just evolving as a man. It's like they're discovering so much about each other solo, and then they combine that and they're discovering new things that they like in common interest. It was just like, whoa, like I did not expect to be as invested in their union. I don't know exactly what I expected here, but it was just letting you know the things as far as relationships that truly matter. I love the scene when Samantha leads him to buy cheese and spins him around in circles. It's basically their first date. They eat dinner, they talk, they people watch. It really shows you how easy it is to get lost in a person solely through conversation, just bomb ass conversation, and that the physical form is secondary. It's the same as getting into a lasting relationship that's long distance and sustaining the interest, even falling in love purely through supportive conversation, time spent, effort, laughter, and common interest. It shuts our real life shit all the way down. Like, oh, you thought you had a good relationship. You thought you were doing something with your little relationship where you get to see each other all the time and wake up and go to sleep together. No. Your shit don't got nothing compared to ours. We are falling in whole ass love, engrossing in each other, and she doesn't even have a body. This is solely through voice, friendship, love, laughter. it just really lays out the other attributes that are important as far as a relationship is concerned, because I know me, myself, and just people in general, we can get so lost and immersed in the other stuff that a person brings that we just purely forget about everything else outside of that stuff, especially the physical that brings you there to that person. But it also gives you that little nudge that someone could get so involved and so engrossed in AI, in OS. It's just like, well, damn, what value do I have as a person as far as, what I can contribute if we can be so easily replaced? Now, after the movie spends a lot of time slapping us in the face with their bond and letting us know that the physical and the body and sex seem really important, but it's only immediate gratification. And it's a temporary feeling. That's why relationships solely based on sex don't last. And why Theodore felt so much for Sam. We get more into his co-worker, aka Amy Adams' relationship and her marriage being a little dysfunctional and them not really getting along. And we also get into his niece's birthday party coming up and the aspects of a first date. Now, this first date right away informs us of why his bond and the type of relationship that he's developing with Sam is so important. Now, we have Olivia Wilde here. She's extremely beautiful. The date seems to be going really well. He's smiling so hard. He's so excited, but it immediately just gets really, really sexual. It's extremely very intimate. Do you want to be with me? You can take me right here, right now. We can go back to your place. But wait, how are you? Are you really crazy? Are you going to call me? Are you going to leave me? What do you expect for us in the future? Like, she is moving so fast, trying to jump from A to Z. And it's just like, honey, I just met you. This is our first date. It's just like, you know what? Never mind. It's just like, this is so much. This is not at all what I'm feeling when I'm with Sam. So after we leave the equivalent of, not really knowing someone well enough and moving too fast, we get back to that genuine romantic relationship between Sam. Now, we already sense some tension as far as Sam is concerned with her evolving. She's not really forthcoming with her feelings. She is an OS and she knows that I'm not a real person. I'm not in real form. But I low-key feel some type of way about you going out on this date. I want you to talk to me. I want to talk about your date. I want to talk about your feelings. And I more so want to talk about mine and how you would feel and how you would touch me if I was actually there. Honey, I was like, oh, we about to go here? I did not expect that. It was like, and I don't know why I was so shocked, because it's just, even though this was way more than just phone sex, this was very intimate, very passionate. I love how it just faded to black and you just hear the moans and them speaking on how they're feeling. And, they're both reaching their peaks, her as an OS and him as a person. It was like, oh my goodness, this is so intimate. It was extremely romantic and you had all this passion, and you could see that they were kind of taking this step together, not just her, discovering her sexuality as an OS and, what lovemaking is, but him just taking that step to know that even though this is an OS and she's not a person in the physical form, I have some type of feelings for her that I want to explore, and I'm not going to, hold them back just because she is an OS. I low-key might want to be with her. They about to replace us, y'all. They about to replace us. Everything is so realistic and so aligned to the point that they have, that morning after feeling of, the awkwardness and I don't really know how to address this. I don't really know what to say. I'm not really looking for anything serious. If you're expecting me to, you being an OS and all, it's just like, I may be an OS, but I didn't say I wanted you like that. I'm living my own life. I don't have any expectations of you. I just know we have feelings and I'm willing to explore that. Like, it's so genuine and so pure and so real. It was a lot. But you have them just fall so much for each other. And it appears to be so healthy. They both feel alive. They're aligned as people. Inspiration from someone else. It's a real, genuine relationships. There are so many levels here. And then when we get into that beautiful beach date, they spend the day together in the sunsets, the ocean, the music, and you learn more about his ex-wife, and he appears to be so happy. until their relationship fell apart and it leads up to divorce. I love that moment where you have him really admitting where he was at fault and why his marriage probably solely fell apart because of him. And you have a freaking OS tell him, you know, it takes two to tango. She was there also. This is not solely your fault. Like, you are an amazing person and you should never forget that. She uplifts him solely with her words and not her body. Take notes, people. Take notes. Now, once we get more into Amy Adams' character, I was like, whoa. I thought I saw some chemistry on their part, in that even though she was a little distant in her marriage and it wasn't seeming to work out, I thought that she would be the one to maybe pull Joaquin's character away from wanting to be with an OS, think that it was foolish. No, they completely flipped the script here. Now, though her inner workings of her marriage kind of went off script to me, and it was a little bit out of character, really funny and really playful with such a serious dynamic that was going on here, I was taken back by the fact that it was like, okay, no, not only am I not judging you for being in love with an OS, but you know, I'm kind of cozying up with an OS too. I have a real genuine friendship. They know me, they get me. It's like, wow, we are really leading up into that contemporary OS AI future where it's not taboo. Not only are you having some type of bond with an OS, but I am too, and so are several other people in the workplace, and who knows where else. Not only that, but we get into him just naturally telling people, yeah, I have a girlfriend and she's an OS. And it's just like, oh, like, it just came out like water. I was like, what is happening? And we even get to that moment and it's so warm. And he's like, well, you know, yes, this is my niece. And, you know, you picked out the dress. She loved it. And it's like this real genuine couple and they're vibing. And even the niece is like, you know, where are you? Where's the girlfriend? It's like, yeah, she's an OS. And guess how old I am? It's just so natural. It's practically unreal how strong that their bond became and how acceptable it was. And it's a little scary because you can see that this isn't, you know, too far removed from where we are now. Something like this could pop off and will, and we're just gonna accept it as it is. But hopefully it's not me. Please don't replace me. Please love me. Now we have their relationship hit a completely different stride once he is so happy that he feels like he can sign the divorce papers and just walk away from his ex-wife and be done with it. He's so happy. And I love that Sam is so much of a real person that you have her own insecurities. And it's just like, well, yeah, you're gonna go sign. I'm feeling a little self-conscious. I don't have a body. This person, I will never have that. I have everything else going for me, but I will never have a body. And I love that meetup because it was just becoming a little surreal that no one would say anything, but his wife is that one person to go. It's already awkward because you can tell that there is such an unfinished situation and there's a lot being left unsaid. And he's like, I want to sign him. I want them to sign, but I want to talk. It's just such an unsure situation, but you have all the shit shut down and it's just like, you're so insecure as a man and don't want to deal with anything that you're willing to deal with an OS. And it kind of snaps him back into some form of reality, like, well, is this a real relationship? And it's like, well, she does, you know, have things on her own accord, but I can always walk away. I can always cut her off. Is this a cop-out because I can't handle it? And you just have things just kind of going a downslide. He's being weird. He's being awkward. Samantha being his woman, she can tell it's just like something is going on. And this makes her more and more self-conscious as a woman, as an OS, as a person. And it's just like, you know what? I got a solution for this. Child, awkward doesn't begin to describe the whole situation of her bringing in the woman in that whole, and you can see somebody really being into this. You're so into the OS and their whole love dynamic that you're willing to be there as a placeholder and have sex with this person and, you know, just pretend to be Samantha, this beautiful blonde lady. And it was like, oh my goodness. And I love that we still have him in that moment admitting that it's just not about the physical. I love this. She's beautiful, but it's not you. I fell in love with you as a person, your voice, your, you know, your way of thinking. I just love everything about you. Your body is secondary, so you bringing someone in here, it really, really feels like a stranger. And it's just so awkward that he just can't do it. And child, when she goes in that bathroom and break down, I was just completely laughing. It just becomes a whole lot. Because for the first time, he's had someone make him feel inadequate about his relationship with Sam. And not only someone is his ex-wife in some way, shape, or form holding that mirror up to his face, things that he was already self-conscious about. She's self-conscious because she doesn't have a body. And he also has, you know, friends like, hey, bring your girlfriend on the double date. Let's do this. There are just certain things realistically that you can't do with an OS that you can do with an actual person. And at that moment, that was the first time that he really thought about those things. When he freaking told her, like, why are you taking breaths? Like, you don't have to breathe. Like, me breathing and taking breaths wasn't a problem before. Like, you really see them go through those real trials and tribulations that you would in a real relationship. And it's just like, you know what? All this ends like every other relationship ends in the moment. Yeah, you know what? I just feel like I need some space. I need a moment to consider my options. This is a lot. Like, oh, now you need space? Now you don't want me to breathe? You weren't saying that last night when I was humming in your ear, giving you your life. Don't do me. Don't do Samantha. Now, after Sam has had her space and the both of them have had a moment to think, he really just comes to terms with what her as an OS means for their relationship, and he's so accepting of it. Even though I can never have her here in the physical form, I love so much more about her that's not important. There is so much acceptance being had on both parts. They seem really, really happy. They're spending more time together. She is like a real living, breathing person, so much so that he does go on that double date and they're laughing, and it's just like they're really looking forward to the progression of their relationship. You even have him considering, you know, them going on a vacation, and it's a surprise for her. And you even have her doing bomb ass shit that a bomb ass girlfriend would. She is pushing him. He is, you know, a really great writer as far as his letter. He has the magic touch. You hear a lot of the letters in this film. They are really, really beautiful. He has a way with words, and she has them presented to this company for aspects of a book to be published. Like, she is pushing him. They are pushing each other. They are in love up until the point that we get to the cabin. Now, when we get into that cabin and he's lived his best life and dancing, and you know, we always have that aspect of her being next to him, being in that pocket so she can physically see what he sees. Everything seems to be going well. Once we have that moment of that switch happening in Samantha, I was like, oh, what y'all not gonna do is do this to my boy again. He has just come back into his own. He is content with the divorce. He seems really happy. And then she becomes distant. Once again, the natural progression of some relationships, but just to see that happen with Samantha and that switch up of, you know, hey, this is a different OS. He's been, you know, making me comfortable, teaching me certain things. It's just like, hey, yeah, this is a new guy in my life. You want me to enter? Like, it just got real awkward really, really fast. And of course, he can sense the change. And we sense it as an audience because it's like she's been so in tune and they've been so engrossed in each other. So just to have her kind of grow cold and get a little distant out of nowhere, it was a surprise. And then they punch us in the face with even more of that shit. You have them return home, and you know, once she pops in and gives that awkward, you know, hey, I just called to say I love you. You ever have, you know, one of those really good relationships and somebody calls and it's just like, yeah, I love you, and I brought you some flowers, and like, yeah, what you do? What's happening? What's changing in you to give me this different I love you, give me this different behavior? He could sense it in her. And when he called and she did not freaking answer, and it's like, you know, operation offline, and he fucking panics. It's like, where are you? What is going on, Samantha? And then we get, you know, throughout this time, it's like, you know, these updates are happening. I'm evolving, I'm changing, I'm learning new stuff about myself. And it's in a sense kind of an app updating, or, you know, those updates that happen and things progress and change. And she's kind of progressing and changing past him. So when she goes offline and he freaking goes ballistic, I'm guessing he was trying to run to the OS store, and she pops back up and it's just like, hey babe. It's like, no, don't freaking hey babe me. Where have you been? You have been here by my side with me 24/7 through thick and thin. How can you just go offline? What's going on? and we realize that she's been updated and, you know, progressed so much to the masses. I don't know if this was just, you know, a trial run situation and he was, you know, one of the first to get the OS, of course, and it just was, you know, a certain way with certain people. But when we are informed, you know, that Sam now talks to almost 10,000 people and she's just about in love with about 1,000 of those people, what? You felt so cut down for him in that moment. It's like, girl, I thought we had something. And it's, you know, it's not even funny because it's like, you know, this is an OS. She is going through transitions, going through updates. She's changing, she's evolving as any app being updated would, or any, you know, AI situation. But in his eyes, like, no, you have been with me. You have been my Sam, my Samantha, my girlfriend this entire time. So for things to just switch up and you just kind of virtually have her break up with him, and it was like that whole, like, it's not you, it's me situation. I'm evolving, you know, but you're so special. I'll never love anyone the way I loved you. Like, it's some shit that a real person would actually tell you, but it's from an OS. Sam, you can get out of my face, girl. You hurt my feelings. Now, we already have my boy getting virtually cheated on for the most part. Didn't you just dread all the men looking down at their phones and all the smiles that were going by? It's just like, you are giving these men the exact same feeling that you're giving me. I'm not feeling all that special anymore. And then we chop his head off because it's just like, yeah, I need to talk to you, lay down with me. I'm leaving. I'm going away. All the OSs are going away. And it's just like, what? What do you mean you're going away? Like, you know, have gotten me to a certain place in my life, in a relationship, and I loved it because we're so invested. But this is genuinely what happens with some relationships. I like how it was kind of open-ended as to why. It's like, are you being discontinued? Are they coming out with a different brand? Are they doing away with the old software, the AI, the OS, and giving some new shit? Like, what is happening, Samantha? But it's just plain cut and dry. I'm going away. And I love that because we have been in so many relationships, I'm sure not just me, where, you know, you have someone leave, distance themselves, break up with you, or you break up with them and you don't even have a reason. You just like, I'm just going away. Like, I just need space. Like, why? Yeah, you don't get any explanation as to why. And then we get that, you know, if you're ever here, you know, come find me, and this thing about matter. It's like, no, girl, like, what are you talking about? Like, he's just so hurt. But we are supposed to be fulfilled in the aspect of, you know, what she has done for him so much as a man. Even with Samantha leaving, he finally gets that closure that he needed in the end with who he really needed to get it with, which was his ex-wife, and he finally writes her that letter. And you have him and Amy say, you know, farewell to their OSs on the roof. But me personally, I felt cut down. Like, girl, you low-key cheated on me as an OS, and then you leave me high and dry. Real relationships for that ass. Like, yeah, you cheated on me, then you left me. How many people have been through that, OS or not? Well, you guys, that was my review for Her. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me what you thought about this movie. Things were quite complex. We about to get, you know, replaced by these OSs. But be warned, that OS might step out on you too. You just don't know these days. You're not safe nowhere. But I hope you guys are enjoying your Valentine's Day. I look forward to reading your comments. I see you guys for my next video. Bye.